Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike your match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling, and we are originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. Widely considered to be the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, more than happy to have you. A couple different ways that you can get up on that thing. It's through a phone call first and foremost, and the number is 216-220-0966. Again, that's 216-220-0966. Or you can email me. Here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to greg@bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you didn't get the newsletter. By the way, if you've been wanting to get in touch with that newsletter, it's not something that gets blasted out like spam every 10 minutes, 13 times a day, once a week. On very rare occasions have I made use of the newsletter on any other day other than Tuesday at noon Eastern. 99.687% of the time, you will get one newsletter from me alerting you to who is going to be on the show later that evening. And again, that comes out right around noon Eastern. That's lunchtime for the majority of us, so you can put some eyeballs on it and decide tonight is a live tune-in night, or this time it might be a podcast for me. Or the super fan would say, not only am I going to be tuning in live this evening, can't wait to get that first hour podcast on Wednesday and the second podcast hour on Thursday. Those are my favorite people, by the way. But however you want to get it, that's what you do. So in case you missed all of that, go to the homepage. You missed it because you don't have the newsletter. You go to the homepage, go to the newsletter sign up, plop in an email address. That's all I ask. You will get the newsletter delivered that following Tuesday at noon. And as a thank you, you should also get a follow-up email that has my very own personal homemade barbecue sauce recipe, which I ask with peace and love. Do not share it with anybody. It is a special gift to you. Don't try it, realize how great of a barbecue sauce it is, and then say, well, I'm going to take the Barbecue Central Show sauce to market. Screw Rempe. I don't care what he says. I'm going to make millions off of his tried and true recipe. Don't be that guy or gal. Keep it for yourself. Let this be our little secret, my sauce recipe to you for signing up for the newsletter. And I'm just informing you once a week. Come on, get on it. BBQ Central Show, thebbqcentralshow.com is the website. Sign up for it. You'll be happy that you did. But if you didn't do it this week, here's what's happening. It is the first Tuesday of the month. By the way, it is the first Tuesday of November. I said it in January. I said it in February to the laughs of the Centralite public. But 2018 is rapidly coming to a close. Weeks left, literally. And then we'll be turning the calendar to 2019. Joining me in his first Tuesday spot, none other than Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. Of course. And we got plenty to get into it with Ray about, not the least of which is finally being able to get some real life, real business recap on Dr. Barbecue, the restaurant. For ages, it was always, when is it going to open? When is it going to open? Well, between the last time and this time, Dr. Barbecue's the restaurant actually opened. 2 days later, by the way, than I bet, and I lost out on like $120, and I'm pissed. Next time I make the rules, I will make sure they are in my favor, but I did say closest date without going over, and I was over by 2 days. I had October 15th, and Dr. Barbecue's opened on the 17th. So embedded correspondent Doug Scheiding won that cash. Nevertheless, we will be able to get a, what is it? Today's the 6th. That was the 17th. Roughly 3-week recap of what Dr. Barbecue's is experiencing right now. How are they trending? Are they meeting expectation at this very infant stage? And have there been any wholesale changes right off the bat? Maybe they were anticipating one menu item to be gangbusters, and something else has come up and smacked everything else in the face, so now they might have to make adjustments. Interesting to hear what might be going on in the very beginnings of the opening of that restaurant. So that's Ray Lampe coming up in his 9:14 usual spot. And then at 9:35, we will be rejoined by a friend of the show, semi-recurring guest, and the creator of the World Food Championships, Mike McLeod. If you didn't know, because you live under a rock, World Food Championship starts when? Tomorrow. That's right. And we're breaking Mike McLeod away from all of the last-minute planning activities that he possibly has going on to come and chat it up a little bit. A lot of time has evaporated since the last time that we talked to Mike and this time. In fact, the last time we were talking about how there might be a change to the final table off of last year's process, how there might be a major broadcast network picking up the World Food Championship show, but we never got any finality on that. So we'll be talking with Mike about how it will be ending up 7 through the 11th in Orange Beach, Alabama. If you're going to be around there the next handful of days, you might want to scoot out there and see what food sport is all about. And that's Mike McLeod at 9:35. And then we'll roll into the second hour. A couple weeks ago, we tried to have the Butcher of America, or should I say the Americas, Pat LaFrida on, and roughly 80% of his segment got dumped because we were having a little trouble connecting via the phones. And I said, hey, let's try and reset it up again. He happened to be free tonight, so we put it on the books. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Pat LaFrida shows back up so we can actually talk about the items that I wanted to in the front of that segment that kind of got trashed. We did end up talking quite a bit about the Out of Wild Grill that he is the exclusive North American distributor for, but we actually had some meat talk to engage in, which we didn't get to. So, well, we probably won't be talking about the grills unless you have some great emails that will make me want to start on some of that or finish that topic, or through the instant chat. Remember, there's instant chat through YouTube. If you're watching me on Facebook, while there is a chat feature there and there are any number of comments that happen during the course of the show on Tuesday, I don't follow those comments on Facebook because, quite frankly, logistically, it sucks. It's very hard to follow, and I don't have the option of also not seeing me do a live show while those comments are happening. I don't want to do that. It's distracting. I hate looking at myself. I don't want to have to put up with it. So until Facebook can find a better way of me being able to pop out the chat and leaving it on the side of one of my computer screens like I do with YouTube, Facebook will remain a top video viewing vehicle, to be sure, but I will not be answering anything until after the show, where I might give you a thumbs up or a comment if it's a timely comment. But I apologize in advance for not answering any questions that you might pop up in the Facebook chat roll. It's just annoying, and I don't want to have to deal with it. So if you want to engage in the show, write me an email, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com. Break me off a phone call at 216-220-0966. Or you can jump over to the YouTube And if you don't have the YouTube Live page, just go to my website and click on the YouTube Live link right at the very top, and you can join in with the likes of Jason King from Canada, Smoking Bears, and the whole lot. So that's how you do it. Pat LaFrida coming up in the second hour. Mike McLeod coming up in about 26 minutes from now. Ray Lampe less than 5 minutes away. And that's how it shakes out for you this evening. Are you following me socially? I ask this each and every week over the last handful of weeks because I have a fear that while many of you want to, you aren't. Here's how you do it. Instagram and Twitter at BBQ Central Show. And if you're watching me on Facebook, you obviously know how to find it. But if you are a Facebook fan and you just haven't found my page, do the regular Facebook thing, and then at the end, /BBQ Central Show. By the way, Twitter helped me engage in a in-person interview, finally, with Michael Simon. I will be dumping that into the feed at some point here shortly. That was fun, by the way. All right, Ray Lampe coming up out of the break. Let me talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Attention, anyone who loves sausage and barbecue. Established in 1882, Southside is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas, and they have been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. They're famous for the original beef sausage, its coarse ground and natural pork casing, the authentic Central Texas barbecue available for purchase as well, like briskets and ribs and so forth. All meats, including those prime briskets, slow smoked for many hours over Texas post oak wood. They ship nationwide via the online store, SouthsideMarket.com. Keep that website in mind, as I will get to a very important part here at the end. They ship fresh and smoked sausages nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later, include a custom gift note, and mail to multiple addresses without additional charges. That is timely, considering the point in the year that we are at. Do you have multiple people that you will be buying gifts for? Do you want to send them Southside sausages and briskets and sauces and all that good stuff? You can mail to multiple addresses without additional charges at SouthsideMarket.com. Shipping customers can choose to order now or ship later. That's what I already said. All shipped items are vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation. They're shipped in dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. All meats processed in the on-site USDA inspected facility. On-site meat markets for fresh and smoked products. Custom orders are welcome as well. 2 restaurants if you want to give them a try. Elgin since 1882. Bastrop, Texas since 2014. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states. Here's the deal. 10% off coupon code for online orders at SouthsideMarket.com with code BBQ Central, lowercase, BBQ Central, no spaces. That's 10% off coupon code for online orders at SouthsideMarket.com. That's SouthsideMarket.com with promo code BBQ Central. That's BBQ Central, lowercase, one word. Dr. Barbecue talking Dr. Barbecue. Stick around, be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils. All the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit as well as in the backyard worldwide. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. Always trust your butcher. Why do we trust our butcher? Because he comes in reserve grand champion at the American Royal Open and wins the 2018 Jack Daniels. That's why we trust our butcher. Of course. All right, stick around for this.
If you got questions about barbecue or grilling, maybe as a hobby or even a business, looking to get an expert's point of view, why not ask Dr. Barbecue? You can submit your questions by clicking on the Ask Dr. Barbecue tab on the website. The doctor is in. Here's Ray Lampy with his nurse, Greg Rempe. Dr. Barbecue.
That's right, Dr. Barbecue joining us as he does each and every first Tuesday of the month. Ray, always appreciate you taking time out. How are you?
I'm good, Greg. Good to hear you.
Good to hear you. How's jury duty treating the good doctor?
Oh, it's just great. Yeah, it's I don't hate it. It's kind of interesting. It's just the problem is it's like they said it's going to be all week, like through Friday. I'm a little busy for that at the moment, but it's someone told me, hey, it's part of being an American.
Have you done jury duty before?
Never.
Okay,
no.
Well, I mean,
when you grow up in Chicago, everybody knows a guy, so you never have to go to jury duty. But now that I'm down here, I don't know a guy.
I have a lot of wood around me, so I'm trying to figure out if I need to start knocking. But at 44 years of age, I've never even been summoned for jury duty, not even once. And, of course, saying that out loud, I'm sure it's in the mail, and I'll be receiving it in the box tomorrow. But so you have to go to the courtroom every day, and you get dumped into the potential like jurors pool, or how does it work?
No, I went Monday morning and I was in the giant room of people, and I was the first group I got sent to a courtroom, and there was like 30 of us, and they were going to pick 7. And after 45 minutes of questioning people, I was picked out of the 7. So I was the good news is I got on right away. The problem is they say the average trial is like 1.5 days, and ours is going to be 5 or longer. So
are you allowed to give us any insight? Is it like a corporal punishment type of situation? Is it kind of petty or white collar or anything we might be seeing on the news?
No, it's civil. It's a contract dispute. It's interesting but boring at the same time. So far it's not. I don't hate it so much, but believe me, by Thursday I will. But no, they threaten the hell out of you not to talk about it.
So, and obviously you're not being sequestered. So while they tell you don't talk about it, they're not really that concerned, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
So for ages, Ray, it's been, let's get the restaurant update as to when it might open or what stage we're going to be at. Now we can finally start getting the first post-opening update, which is a great thing. So first things first, let's go back to that magical first official opening day. After everything that you went through, after probably building things and crushing things down in your mind over and over and over again, how does the first day expectation meet expectation or exceed expectation, or how did it all fall out for you in your opinion?
It was exciting. We opened busy. We had people coming in almost immediately, and it was a pretty busy day. Within a couple of days, we were up to full speed, busy as we could possibly be. So it's been, we've been swamped pretty much every day. We had to close one day after about 6 days. Nobody had slept, and it was just nuts. And we needed to move a couple pieces of equipment that we didn't anticipate. So we had to close and get the electricians in and just, like I said, just kind of recover. But ever since then, it'd be 3 weeks tomorrow. It's been balls to the wall, and our people are doing great. I mean, the food's been terrific. Lee, man, he's killing it. He's doing a great job. We're using Compart Duroc pork. We're using certified Angus beef. We bought the giant oiler, and we got the guy from Kreitz Market. So our barbecue is really good. When it gets completely slammed, sometimes we have a hard time getting the food to the table. But we're pretty much over that. I mean, it's, new restaurant blues, but we got over it quick.
Can there be new restaurant blues when it's happening like that? I mean, I would imagine the blues would be you open, you have a really good first day, and then every day after that kind of sucks. But if you're more or less slammed or at least crowded, I would imagine better than the alternative.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice problem to have. Don't get me wrong. We're happy as could be, and our people are doing a great job. It's just like, a couple of days we got short of meats at the end of the day, and we don't want to do that. We're not proud to run out of food. We feel bad about that. We're not going to brag about it, not on mentioning names, but we but it happens, man. It's a barbecue restaurant. You have to kind of guess how much you're going to serve that day. We have a good use for the overflow stuff, but you still can't get it right every day. Now, people understand and they're cool about it. But like this poor guy was planning out a week to come there, and he shows up at 8 o'clock at night and he wants to have dinner and he wants some ribs and we don't have any. So he's disappointed, and it's understandable. Most people are cool about it. Some of the others, they're not so cool, but it's just part of it. Again, we've gotten better every day. We couldn't be happier. People are loving the food, and all is well.
I would imagine that so there's got to be a couple different hard parts of the barbecue restaurant, whether you're just opening or whether you're in your 10th year of business, which obviously is, knowing the marketplace, knowing how, because of who you are and how successful your partners have been in the restaurant business here over their professional life and that side of the business. You guys were probably going to start off pretty good, right? So, I wasn't concerned. The embedded correspondents weren't concerned that Dr. Barbecue's restaurant was going to open to pretty loud fanfare, and it probably had some good staying power. Where I'm interested is, what about month 8 or what about month 9, and what planning went into that 2 years ago as you were starting to ramp up and get to open to make sure that you're still in a very profitable and viable lifespan at month 9? Because I remember talking about Mabel's Barbecue. He was opening, it was like April in 2016. There was going to be the Republican National Convention here. That whole street was being rented out by corporate offices, and the sports teams were doing really good. I'm like, hey, he's going to do really good. He's got a great name. He's got a great location. He's coming into the best time ever. But what about February? And what about March of that following year? How good is it going to be? Now, he's proven out to be pretty successful now going into the 3rd year, but I'm wondering where that kind of mindset might have been with you guys.
Well, the things you do for that is, I'm not a restaurant guy, but I've been around some marketing stuff for the last 20 years. We have a great location. It's a really great location in a neighborhood that's just regentrifying even stronger. We're right across the street from the ballpark. They're either going to build a new Rays stadium, which we don't think is going to happen, or the city's going to develop that 80 acres. If you come to St. Pete right now, everything is getting better. I mean, if the lease is up on something better moves in. If a building gets torn down, a bigger one gets built. I mean, it's just booming here right now, and we are right smack in the middle of the hottest area. So, by doing that, you hope you've done the right thing. We did promote it for 2 years. Yeah, it got a little old at about 1 3/4 years in because we couldn't get open. But now that we're open, we're reaping the benefits of all that. And we're doing I think we continue to do everything right. We're not just done. Right now, I was just there at the restaurant because I had to go. There's a Jack Daniel's Tennessee Squires party at our restaurant. So people are acknowledging us. Jack Daniel's is, they like us. We're going to sell a lot of Jack Daniel's. We have a Jack Daniel's drink on tap. So they said, hey, we want to have a Squires party at your restaurant. Well, that's happening there. So they said they typically get a 40 to 50% response from that. Well, they're probably at 80% at our event because people were interested in our restaurant. So, we think we're doing all the right things. We're not done. I've been on every TV station in town over and over, and we'll do it again next week. And we're not like just going to say, okay, we got this all figured out. We will continue. The menu changes. It's changed a little bit on the fly. We will fix anything that needs to be fixed. So far, so good. But anything that needs to be fixed, we'll fix. And I'm there every day, just walking around, touching tables. You do all those things with the hope that it sustains. We're not like thinking we got this all figured out after 3 weeks. That's for sure.
Ray Lampe joining me here on the show for the Ask Dr. Barbecue segment, drbbq.com, his website, if you want to check it out here while we're chatting him up. Ray, you mentioned food and how things are going actually very well. Are there any menu items that, I don't want to say you didn't expect to be as popular, but I'm sure there's things that you think just from what's hot now in a culture situation might be coming. But is there anything that jumped off the menu as like, hey, we knew that was pretty good, but the guests are really showing us that this is something that they're really taking a hold of?
The one that I think was really been a standout is the cornbread madeleines. Little madeleine, like kind of shell-looking cookie things.
Yeah.
I was at Blue Smoke up in New York, and that's how they were doing their cornbread. And I thought this is a great idea because it forces you to have fresh cornbread all the time. Now, they claim to do it to order. We can't do it to order, but they sure don't sit around very long. So it's really been popular with people. However, the bad news is we got to keep making them like constantly the whole day. So it's good and bad, but that's one that jumped out that kind of surprised us. The Italian beef sandwich is just a Chicago style Italian beef that we're using brisket instead of top round or bottom round, just because we thought that would be fun. We're not cooking in the smoker. It's just an Italian beef sandwich, and it's doing real well. That's been a pleasant surprise too, because I really like that, and I wanted that to be strong on the menu, and it has been. Those have probably been the two breakout surprises. A couple things surprise you in the wrong way. We made some Kentucky beer cheese, and people just didn't get it. You ever have Kentucky beer cheese?
Never. It's
kind of it's a cheese spread, but it's kind of firm, and it's got beer in it, and generally pretty spicy. Well, people completely didn't get that because they expect it to be queso. And we served it with hard pretzels, which even made it more. It disoriented them even more because they thought it's going to be queso with like soft pretzels like you get in a lot of restaurants now. So that one we actually pulled it off the menu because it was just a kind of a mess. Wow. Everybody that did order it was mad because it wasn't what they were expecting, and I didn't see any way to really win that one. So but you try not to change the menu too much in the beginning, but something like that it just wasn't working, so we pulled it off. We had these rotisserie chickens with my hot chicken rub on them, and we thought that would be a big deal, and nobody cared about it. But I tend to think everybody that's coming in right now is ordering our 2-meat platter with brisket and pastrami and pork belly and ribs and turkey and sausage, and they're ordering the slaw and the beans and the potato salad. And no surprise. And the French fries. We have really good hand-cut French fries. Eventually, though, I think they're going to start to order some of those different things a little bit more often. And we'll see a big change in the way it goes. But right now, you come to a place called Dr. Barbecue the first time, what are you going to have? You're going to have some brisket and ribs, It's predictable.
Is the cooker running 24 hours a day?
Pretty close, if not.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, we have to clean it on the fly in between. Probably nothing comes off between, say, 5 and 7 or 8. By then everything's in the holding cabinets. It might be holding a little bit in there, and then it gets loaded again. You kind of got to let it cool off before you load it. But in general, there's no breaks for it. So, I think even the old hickory in the kitchen, I think it runs 24 hours too.
So I don't know if you heard or not, but I finally was able to wrangle Michael Simon and did an in-person interview with him earlier today, believe it or not.
Really? You're kidding?
Yeah, I sure did. What do you sound surprised? You know who I am, Ray? It only took me 2.5 years to wrangle him down. So for as long as it took you to open that goddamn restaurant, it took me to wrangle Michael Simon into an interview. And he said, one of the things that he thought helped Mabel's continue to be successful is how, they hold hot. They don't cook, let anything cool down, and then try and rebring it back up. Is that a similar mindset with you guys?
Well, it's definitely what we're doing, yes. I mean, there's two ways to do it, I mean, you want to do it consistently. So you either got to try to hold everything hot and serve it fresh, or cool it down properly right away and then reheat it in some good fashion. And there's restaurants that do it successfully, but that didn't make any sense to us. We just figured we'd just cook it and really try to have ideas for what you do with the others, the leftovers, whatever you got left over. So far, so good.
Did you judge the Jack Daniels this year?
Yes, I did.
All right, so let's transition over there. Anything else about the restaurant, just as we quickly evaluate the first 3 weeks? I mean, it sounds like everything's going more or less swimmingly at this point.
Yeah, no, thanks for all the support from everybody. It's been great.
Let's talk about the Jack, because the grand champion and the reserve grand champion reversed roles from the American Royal Open to the Jack Daniels. You had Darren winning the Open at the American Royal and Dave Bosca coming in reserve, and then they switched it around at the Jack. When you look at these two guys, I don't know if, certainly Darren is a name that everybody knows, even if you follow competition kind of at a very cursory basis. But David has been competing, well into 10-plus years probably, has quite a substantial business behind him as it relates to barbecue as well. It's certainly no surprise to me, no surprise to you to see him start taking down some of these bigger titles. But for the people that that don't know him, this isn't a surprise. He's not coming out of left field. This is a very accomplished cook.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, I think people are familiar with David because of his products, but he doesn't. I don't know that he travels around as much. Darren's going to every corner of the country, and and kicking ass. I mean, David doesn't get around that much, so I'm not sure folks know him personally, but David's won a lot of stuff in a lot of places, man. I hear he's killing it at that barbecue stand down there too.
What's it like in the judging tent? I don't know if a lot of people understand what judging tents in general look like, especially when you're talking about a sanctioned style contest. And I know the Jack is not necessarily sanctioned per se, but it kind of is. And a lot of gray area in that tent, I guess. But what's it like in there?
Well, it's really cool. It's unlike any other contest, really. It's run straight up like a KCBS contest. There's no misunderstanding. But every table there's a lot of room, and every table has 2 table captains. So there's really, it's really nice. They really take good care of you, and they really go out of their way to do it. And then there's bleachers set up right along the judging tent. They put farm fence up, and there's bleachers there. So it's really pretty cool. And in the back is I went back there I wanted to meet Chris Fletcher, is the assistant master distiller, and I never met Chris. So I went back there to introduce myself and say hi. Well, Jeff Arnett was there too, who's the master distiller, and Marcia, who's the 3 people on their new master taster bottles. So I got a good picture of myself with the 3 of them. So, I mean, that doesn't happen everywhere either. There's Jim Cantor is there, the weatherman from the Weather Channel, but he comes and judges every year, and he takes it seriously. Ron Childers, who's the weatherman in Memphis, is there, but Ron judges Memphis in May and the Jack every year. So it's kind of like there's these celebrities around, but they're really into it. Kelly Pickler's husband is there, and then he judges every year. So it's this weird conglomeration of people, but they're all serious about it. I mean, it's not a bad judging situation at all. So it's really very a lot of pomp and circumstance, and they really take care of everybody. There's an apron signing in advance of the judging, and then of course the chef's choice is really elaborate, as well as the desserts. So it's a special day of judging. I mean, it's very cool of them. They give you a nice goodie bag. I mean, I'm proud to judge it. It's really a lot of fun, and it's important, man, because I know the prestige on the other side of winning there. So there's no jacking around in the tent. It's done on the up and up.
I was going to say, when you talk to the competitors, there's always that conversation that takes place between, if I win the American Royal, we think it's better because at least every champion has the option of trekking out to Kansas to go ahead and try and take part in that, where the Jack obviously is a little tougher to get into. You have to win 7. That's kind of difficult. Maybe you go to a state that has auto qualifier and you win that one. But otherwise, you got to win as many as you can to qualify and have your name thrown in that hopper and hope your name gets pulled. And then you get to go and compete. So certainly you are competing against folks that have won, because that's kind of the criteria. But how do you compare and contrast those 2 competitions?
Well, as a competitor, I always thought the American Royal Invitational was the top one, because everybody's invited and there's room for you. So if you don't go, it's your problem. So I've always felt Memphis in May is not realistic for the KCBS guys. Houston's hard to get into. Everybody can come to the American Royal Invitational, so I've always felt from a competitor point of view. But the Jack is the Jack. It's just got the legacy of it's such a cool place. They take such good care of you. I was just telling somebody tonight about the thing about Jack Daniels is there's a lot of bourbon brands that are a big deal right now. None of them have their founder buried in the cemetery on the hill, and the safe that is in the office that he broke his toe on and got gangrene and died. And, I mean, there's just all this history there that, Marcia lives in a house that was built for the general manager of the plant, and because her dad was the general manager, he bought the house from him. But so there's just all this genuine history that's there. So and the square, you go in the square and all them shops and stuff. I mean, there's just nothing else like that. And the judging too is this pomp and circumstance. It's so cool. The trophies are the coolest. There's nothing like the Jack. It kind of gets repetitive. I've been going for so many years, cooking and judging, but I don't want to give up my spot because it's still a really good time.
Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue, can be found for the rest of the week, at least, at the jury trial room for whatever he's doing there. But otherwise, at the restaurant that is open now, going on the 3rd week, and to rave reviews all around. Ray, always appreciate the time you give to the show, and continued success.
Thanks, Greg. Come on down and see us.
I will, absolutely. That's Ray Lampe. Dr. Barbecue. And what I mean, I will. Of course, I mean.
All guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
I want to, right? That's what I want to.
Yummy.
I want to come down and see Ray. How soon will I get down to see Ray? I don't know. Going into JO season, and there's no tournaments down in Florida, but we'll see. We'll see. Hey, let me talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills, makers of some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. You would recall last week that Tuffy Stone and Bob Trudnak and Mo Kason all said that they were cooking on some sort of Green Mountain Grill during their time in the Netherlands. I believe it was The Hague for that Ryder Cup style barbecue contest that they were taking part in a couple months ago. Yeah, that's right. It was Green Mountain Grills. Probably cooking on some Jim Buoys so they can fit a lot of different food in there. Or maybe it was the Daniel Boone, which is kind of the medium size. That's, you know, for my money, if you're a small family guy, like 4 people or less, or maybe you have a couple more kids in there, or you have a bigger family extended that lives with you, but you're just not really into partying, Daniel Boone's still probably going to be that wheelhouse, unless you just like the bigger stuff, then it's the Jim Buoy. Now, because we are in the teeth of football season, college football starting to wind down a little bit, the NFL is certainly right in the middle of the season here. If you love to tailgate, you want something portable, you want something pellet-fired, then the Green Mountain Grill Davy Crockett is the grill that you're going to have to take a look at because it's fully portable, goes where you go, and if you don't have access to a traditional outlet, no worries. If you have a 12-volt outlet in your car, truck, van, or SUV, just plug it in there and away you go. You're not sacrificing a tremendous amount of capacity for portability either. GreenMountainGrills.com is the website. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. Jason Baker and the gang out there continuing to support the show, and we certainly appreciate their support. We are back with the creator of the World Food Championships, Mike McLeod, coming up. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
All right, this portion of the show is being brought to you by cookinpellets.com. If you're looking for pellets to fire your Green Mountain Grill, your Traeger, your Cook Shack, or whatever grill that's pellet fire that you have, this is the place you got to go get them. Your number one source for quality wood pellets. For all those pellet-driven cookers, you visit Cookin, C-O-O-K-I-N, cookinpellets.com for more information or purchase. You can also visit Amazon.com as well, trying to nail down... Oh, dear. Why do I have 2 phones? Just give that one a shot. Trying to nail down Chris Becker to come on before year-end anyway, but cookinpellets.com is where you want to go. My next guest, President and CEO of MMA Creative, also the creator of the World Food Championships. And that event kicks off in earnest tomorrow, stretching through November 11th. Let's go ahead and race to the Traeger Grills hotline. And welcome back, friend of the show, Mike McLeod. Mike, how are you, buddy? Okay, all right. Well, here we go. Now we got it.
Hi, this is Mike. Thanks for calling. If you'll leave me a detailed message, back to you as soon as I can.
All right. Mike, why aren't you answering my phone calls? What do you have going on? The World Food Championships or something? Don't you even. You know, I was talking with Ray last segment about American Royal v. Jack Daniels. And I have to tell you, like, I think there's probably a lot of mindset amongst folks that agree with Ray on the American Royal having the ability to attract any and all. If you win, everybody has that open invite. But if you ask somebody, hey, this year you have the option of winning A or B, A being the Invitational, B being the Jack Daniels, I would say probably over 90% of them are going to take the Jack Daniels because of the history, and the tradition and the mystique and the location, time of year, all that stuff. So I can see where the Jack Daniels ends up edging out. Now, when you talk about the American Royal Open, and I thought Darren Worth made a tremendous point to why he wants to win that more than the invite, because Darren has won the Open, I believe it's been 3 out of the last 5 years, has not won the Invitational, has won the Open, and would prefer to stay an Open champion versus the Invitational, because if you win the American Royal Open, you get the Houston Livestock and Rodeo bid, which he is very keen on. He's won that, by the way. And he loves that contest. So, as Ray said, Houston, very hard to get into. But if you win the American Royal Open, well, that really unveils to you a number of other opportunities that winning some of these other competitions don't afford you, one of those being an invite into the Houston Livestock and Rodeo barbecue contest. So, certainly, it's a big one to win. If you win the Jack, you're a Jack winner. If you win the American Royal Invitational, you are an Invitational winner. You can promote yourself as the best around that year for sure, because everybody else there has won an event, no doubt about it. I don't know if the American Royal has helped themselves with the amount of times they've moved dates and locations here over the last handful of years. I think that's taken a little bit of shine just off of that event in general. Not that people don't want to not win it, but I don't think it's helping them. That's for sure. And we're still trying to connect or chase down Mike McLeod. Maybe I should, okay. Let me drop him a quick note. Trying to call you. And I'll leave the hotline number. Maybe we're running into a Pat LaFrida. Oh, what? Oh, right. Got to put in a name there. Here we go. We could be running into a Pat LaFrida situation. Let's hope not. Hold on. Mike? Mike? No. That was voicemail. So we'll see if he calls in or not. I don't know if you guys follow me on social media, even though I'm requesting it each and every show. Oh, right. God. You know what I just realized I hate? When you are linking into a news website, and the story that I'm about to tell you about has obviously been something that they have run during a televised newscast, and it sits right up there on top of the page, and it just goes full bore right into that newscast. Hey, stop that. I'm trying to pass this off as my own. WTSP.com, 10 News. Don't expose me for being the fraud that I am. Let me do that on my own. And if I can get away with it, let me get away with it. Now, come on. But anyway, if you haven't been following me on social media, then you might have missed this post I made, maybe it was yesterday. Again, from WTSP.com, that's Whiskey Tango Sierra Papa. High school varsity barbecue teams? Yeah, it's a thing in Texas. Only a handful of schools in North Texas have barbecue teams, but the idea is gaining popularity. Dateline, is it Ennis? E-N-N-I-S, Texas? Ennis, Texas? Or Enos? Let me tell you, one of my favorite characters ever on the face of the earth was Enos. But I think that was Georgia. Dukes of Hazzard. You remember Enos? God, Enos! You dipstick. Cuff him, Enos. When you say varsity In Texas, the word football usually follows, but how about barbecue? At Ennis High School, a group of students loves their brisket and ribs just as much as their pigskin. Last year, the school created its very first competitive barbecue and traveled to cook-offs involving other schools across the state. Only a handful of schools in North Texas have barbecue teams, but the idea is gaining popularity. Horticulture teacher Tommy Copeland helped started his team at EHS after discovering an annual state tournament in Burnett, over 100 schools compete. In a quote, "When we tell people about it, they're in disbelief at first," Copeland said. "Then they say, wow, I wish that was around when I was in school. I would have been on that team," he says with a laugh. At Ennis High School, the barbecue team is like a Texas hybrid of metal shop and home economics. The students fabricate and weld their own cooker together, then use it to compete. Copeland and other vocational teachers assist the students in learning how to become pitmasters. Teachers or instructors aren't allowed to help students during the cook-offs, and they're judged on their best beef brisket, pork rib, 1/2 chicken, best beans, dessert, best pit, most school spirit, and best t-shirt. If you've never been to Ennis, the town's foundation includes a rich Czech heritage. Copeland adds that helps them in the competition. Also, in a quote, "We have some Czech recipes that we don't divulge to anyone," Copeland said. "The only requirements to be on the barbecue team: maintain a passing average, and you have to be a senior." No!
Get that big stuff out of here.
You have to be a senior? Hey, Ennis High School, it would seem to me that if it was a real varsity sport like basketball and football, you would want a JV team, you would want a freshman team, maybe the middle school wants some of that. But don't you think it would be wise to have a state contending varsity boys barbecue team? It doesn't mention, by the way, if it's for boys or girls, or if it's co-ed, or if the girls have their own competitive team, potentially. Wouldn't you want to have these guys down in the minor leagues honing their pitmaster skills? I mean, what happens if a zesty 16-year-old named Ty Machado walked onto the team? You telling me he can't be part of your team? He's a championship pitmaster already at like 16 years old. Not a senior. You telling me you're not going to put Ty Machado on your varsity team because he's not a senior? So I think you got to rethink that, Copeland. I think you want to start getting the freshmen and the softs and the junes all working together so they're ready to step in. You want the best talent on that high school competitive barbecue team. Let me continue. However, that doesn't stop Copeland from mentoring aspiring juniors who have interest in the team, like Marshall Sladdak. Juniors, what about the softs and the Guess not. Before Ennis's home football game against Corsicana, let me just back out here just for a second. To the folks in Texas, well, I know as it is of utmost importance for you guys to figure out a way to secede from the union, and good luck with that. I apologize profusely for mispronouncing every possible word that has to do with Texas here. I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm just unaware of how you guys say stuff down there. But let me get back into it. Before Ennis's home football game against Corsicana, he and some other juniors got some rib practice outside the stadium. We all barbecue. Why not take it to the competition level? Sladdeck says. Every guy needs to know how to do it. Are we talking about barbecue still, Sladdeck? For Copeland, it all comes down to one thing. In a quote, when these boys leave here, they are all kings of the grills, Copeland said. And when you hear that, you can't help but think only in Texas. Not really. I could see that happening in Oklahoma. I could see that happening in Louisiana. Definitely in Florida. Anywhere where it's really kind of warm out all the time. I can see high school varsity barbecue teams becoming a thing in general. And if this becomes a real deal, full-blown varsity sport across the state of Texas, by the way, I don't know if you know this or not, Texas is a very big state, one of the largest in the union, in the country. I have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to trickle up into higher education. So if you are going to Enos High School or Ennis High School and you take down multiple GCs through your senior year, Texas Tech or University of Texas or other Texas schools. Who are the Horned Toads? Is that in Texas? Or Horned Frogs? Horny Frogs? Is that it? What other schools are in Texas? Are Amarillo State, El Paso State, San Antonio, Texas State, Sam Houston. I know that's a real college. They might be offering full ride scholarships for competition barbecue teams. How about that? Bring me on. Hey, Billy Joe, where are you going to college next year? I'm going to UT on scholarship. Oh, football? Nope. Golf? No. Tennis? You know I'm fat, don't you? Well, I do see that, Billy Joe. Where are you going? Why are you going? How you get a scholarship? Is it them there smarts? Nope.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I'm going full ride competition barbecue pitmaster, bitch. That's right. That's right. So, tell your kids, hone the skills, especially if you're in Texas. Not only can you make a varsity sport in high school, as I said just a few minutes ago, might trickle upwards. Beach volleyball for women is a scholarshiped sport. If you're really good at beach volleyball right now, you can earn a full ride to a college playing beach volleyball. True story. Why not competitive barbecue? It can happen. No thanks to Mike McLeod, probably being too busy and forgetting about me because the World Food Championships are tomorrow. By the way, Mike, bad karma before the World Food Championships takes off. No show? Yikes. Everybody keep an eye on the World Food Championships. Who knows what's going to happen now? Hey, let me talk to you quickly about Traeger grills. Behind every great meal is a great grill, but not just any grill, a Traeger grill. The Timberline is Traeger's most advanced grill yet. It allows you to grill, smoke, bake, roast, braise, and barbecue like a pro, no matter what your level. Thanks to the incredible wood-fired taste. Seriously, you don't know flavor till you're cooking with it. Traeger grills use all-natural hardwood pellets as fuel, so you're literally cooking with flavor. From low and slow smoked ribs to a seared steak, even a baked apple pie, Traeger's can handle it all. And the Traeger Timberline makes it even easier thanks to the Wi-Fi capability. You can check your cooks, kick the temps up, and set custom cook cycles anytime, anywhere, all through your phone on the Traeger Grill app. Find one at your local Traeger dealer today or check them out online, TraegerGrills.com. Now, pay attention. You want to beef up that barbecue game of yours? Is it stinking a little too much? Did the hearty hand clasp and ass slaps from the neighbors take a little bit of a tumble over this summer? Let's beef up that barbecue game together. How are we going to do that, you ask? Let me tell you. Traeger shop classes. That's right. They're going across the country, bringing barbecue knowledge and amazing wood-fired food everywhere you go. Taught by professional pitmasters like Doug Scheiding and BBQ and Chad Ward and Matt Pittman, just to name a few. You'll take home all the skills you need to reach barbecue glory. Find a shop class near you. Sign up today at this website, TraegerGrills.com/shopclass. That's TraegerGrills.com/shopclass. Traeger Grills getting ready to complete the first year of partnership here with this show, and we thank them for that. Looking forward to a 2019 reemergence. We'll let you know on that. Pretty much every show sponsor already committed to coming back to 2019. Smithfield has just refired up, so we're happy to have them back on as well for 2019. Let's go ahead and wrap that first hour. Your phone calls and emails as well, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Stick around, be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the BBQ Central Show.
All right, welcome back. Rob Coling helping me out with some Texas colleges. Rice University, forgot about that. What about Tulane? Is Tulane in Texas? Is that the right one? What about, I got one. Texas Commonwealth University, right? TCU is in there. All schools that could potentially be bringing on a scholarship position for competitive barbecue pitmaster. Can you imagine those schools are, now have head coaches of competitive barbecue? Like they're trying to figure out a way, like Oklahoma State University is trying to figure out a way to lure Dave Bosca to be the first commissioner of barbecue at OSU. Dave, how much do we have to pay you to be the head coach of our men's Division I competition barbecue team? Can you imagine if that would be a thing? Iowa State soliciting Darren Worth. Clone, how do we make you... What do we have to do to make you be our Division I Iowa State University competition barbecue head coach? What do we have to do to you, Clone? What do we have to do? I'm kind of anxious to see if I'm going to start a whole thing with this. Here we go. Here we go. By the end of 2019, a college will have a competitive barbecue team booking. Booking. All right, so there was no Mike McLeod last segment. John Dawson weighing in. Subject line, the Jack. In my mind, I draw a parallel between the Jack and the Masters in golf. It's just the perfect combination of reaching the pinnacle of your craft with a huge dose of history and mystique. Don't disagree. John Dawson also weighing in. Subject line, World Food Championships 2019 finals. Remps, I have a suggestion for Mike McLeod. He should shoot to host the 2019 final table next leap year on the International Space Station. Only if there is a broadcast network ready. Only. Tulane's in Mississippi. Oh, no, it's in Louisiana. I thought it was in California now that I was thinking about it. That's Pepperdine. Right. There's so many colleges out there that could be getting into competition barbecue we don't even know about. Maybe I should have my daughter's Division II college, which is taking her in on volleyball scholarship, see if they're interested in having me come on and having her be the first scholarship athlete for the competition barbecue team. Walsh University competition barbecue team. Swords up! I don't want to build my own pit, though. F that. That's no fun. If you're in Texas, Jamie Gear. Texas Christian. Yeah, that's what I meant. Texas Christian University. Texas Commonwealth. Or Virginia. Whatever. Of course it's Texas Christian. I knew that, John. I'm a huge football fan. Ohio State. Ohio University. Ohio State. Ohio State. They've done well for themselves. All right, we're going to point to the second hour. Refresh your libations, Pat LaFrida, as well as some other items. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard. You found the Barbecue Central show. We talk about barbecue-related stuff here. Grilling stuff, too. Why not? It's all live fire. We have fun together, me and you. You and me. If you're watching live, thank you. If you're catching it on podcast, thank you. If you have no idea how to get this show on podcast, go to my website and click on the subscribe button at the top. That will give you all of the varying platforms, and there are many, on how you can get this show. I have been told recently that the Google Music platform has not been updating regularly. That is specific only to that. As a matter of fact, I have my Android device here right now, and I will tell you, where are we here? It is called Google, well, what the hell is it called? Got the Play Store, phone, aha. So, your icon will say Play Music. It's been renamed 7 different things. So if you've been using the Play Music, which is a native app right there on your Android device, and you subscribe to the show through there, ditch that immediately. It's not updating. It's missed 3 or 4 shows. It is specific only to that particular platform. If you go into your Play Store and search Google Podcasts, then that one is the one that I'm recommending from an Android standpoint. Updates, no problems. There you go. So, iTunes has had no problem since we've gotten back on track updating. So, Stitcher works, a number of other different podcast catchers. You know, that's like the beauty and the curse of Android is you have to figure out, you know, what app might be good if there's not a native one. The beauty and the curse of iPhone is that iPhone holds you hostage. Once you have an iPhone, it's tough to get away from. You know, the music and all the other crap, the stuff you buy, it doesn't transfer over to any other platform. But, so Google Podcast works, Stitcher works, Podcast app, that's the name of it, works, just to name a few. So if you're looking for ones that I know work, that I test, and that I make sure that the feed updates on every Wednesday that you want to take a look at. Follow me socially on the Instagrams or on the Twitter at BBQ Central Show. Real fun and frivolity takes place there. Facebook as well. That's where you're watching this feed potentially. And if you don't know how to get to Facebook, it's facebook.com. Then to find my page /BBQ Central Show. Don't search me out personally on Facebook. I'm not going to friend you. You're not going to friend me. I'm not going to accept your friend requests. It's not that I am a bag and that I think I'm better than anybody. But as I had said, I think a couple weeks ago, I would not have any social media if it wasn't for the show in order to promote and break news and all this other stuff. I don't use my personal Facebook page, but because I evidently enjoy being held hostage quite a bit, except by my phone, Facebook rules that you have to have a personal Facebook page in order to have a fan or show page or business page or something along these lines, which is the one that I actually use. So while I do have a personal page and I do have a number of thousands of friends on my personal page, I haven't accepted a single friend request in like well over a year, because if you want to interact with me, go to the show page. Leave me alone on my personal page already. Unfriend me on my personal page. That's what I'm asking you to do. Then go to /BBQ Central Show on the Facebook and like that page. We can interact there. Let's do that. I encourage you to do that. Dump me personally. Friend me businessly. Not a word. Businessly. Let's do that. Live show apps from John Dawson Reps. For whatever reason, your show is no longer carried live on the Simple Radio app. I've reverted to TuneIn. How can that be?
Get that big stuff out of here.
It's great news. Thank you, John. But bad news all in the same time. I'm not very happy to hear that. Again, at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, at BBQ Central Show on Twitter. By the way, if you are a Twitter monster and you're always on it, Tuesdays at 9 o'clock, I go through Periscope on Twitter, so you can actually watch the live show on Periscope. That's announced through Twitter. However you find it, I'm happy that you get it. The numbers are proving out. We're growing every week. We're growing every month. As I had mentioned to Ray Lampy, look for a bonus content drop into the feed here over the next couple days, because I finally landed an interview with the Iron Chef and owner of Mabel's Barbecue Restaurant, Michael Simon. We sat down 10 o'clock a.m. at Mabel's Restaurant this morning and did a face-to-face interview. It was about 40 minutes. And I have to tell you, I tried my hardest not to be starstruck. And I would be lying if I said that I was just a little bit. Enough to where when I got out and I got back into my car and the adrenaline started coming down, I'm like, did I ask any good questions? I mean, I had my computer screen up. Had enough forethought. I'm self-aware enough to realize that I was probably going to S the bed, and I didn't want to go in on memory alone. He was taller than I figured he would be. Usually guys on television, very short, but he was taller than I thought. Kind of muscular. But however you see him on television is exactly how he came off in person. And he had no reason to be anything. He had no reason to not be himself. I would wonder if he has any idea who I am, other than a guy who pesters him on Twitter for the last number of years. And I do want to give a special mention to my Pittsburgh brother, Doug Dirt, who, for whatever reason, this time was instrumental in putting this together finally. He was in the Pittsburgh airport. He was at Michael Simon. I think is it Bar Simon or Simon Burgers? I don't think it's a B spot, but it's one of Michael Simon's property in the Pittsburgh International Airport. And he took a picture of it and he tweeted at me and he said, "Here's your best buddy's restaurant," or something along these lines. And I just replied back. So Doug was in the reply and Michael Simon was in the reply. And I said, I think I like him more than he likes me. And then within a 30-minute time frame, Simon writes back to me, or tweets back to us, "I like you, buddy," talking to me. And then I said, okay, well then let's do a segment. And then an hour after that, I'll be at Mabel's on Wednesday on the 6th. Let's pick a time and we'll do it. Well, lo and behold, 2 days later, here we are. Face to face, dropping dimes, baby. Yeah. We had a very good interview. I tried to keep it fun. I tried to ask some decent questions. Questions that I did not ask him. Did Mario Batali torpedo the chew? I didn't ask that.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Not the first time. I didn't ask that. Also, I had locked and loaded an F, Marry, Kill with Food Network. Didn't answer that.
Get that big stuff out of here.
The good news I unknowingly helped him take a shot. My opinion, by the way, I'm sure he would have a different opinion. Take a shot at Guy Fieri being into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Yes, so that happened towards the end. Then we had a lightning round at the end where I said, lump versus lump or briquette or sear, regular sear or reverse, things like this. Fun stuff. You'll be surprised on his chicken answer. I guarantee that. So I think probably Thursday, maybe Friday, going to a Cavs game tomorrow. They're going to get pummeled. Oklahoma City's in town. But this is when you know the Cavs have gone really bad. I'm a half season's ticket holder. I have half of the home games we bought. 2020 hindsight, not a great idea. Okay? All right. But we like basketball. We watch all the Cavs games anyway, LeBron or no LeBron. You know it's going bad for the Cavs when your sales guy reaches back out to you and comps you a pair of club-level seats. These seats got to be, a few $100, if not $300 or $400 a piece normally. Those club-level seats for the Lakers game next month are selling for $1,500 a pop. But against Oklahoma City Thunder, Cavs at home, those are for free. Just take those, Mr. Rempe. Enjoy it. Club-level seat. And I say, I will. So I do have to do a little editing to the Michael Simon thing, more on my end or not. But great guy. It was great. I think you'll really enjoy it. And finally got the white whale, as they say. Speaking of guys that I respect, it's Sterling Ball and Big Papa Smokers. That's right, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers been pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook, like the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, one of my favorites, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Little Louie's, Happy Ending, all proven winners, not only on the competition circuit, but in the backyard. Big Papa's offers 13 perfectly balanced flavors that will transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. Whether you're cooking to impress the judges or grilling for family and friends, Big Papa Smokers' award-winning rubs and seasonings just don't disappoint. Pick up a bottle today. Now, if you're looking to improve the competition barbecue recipe, Big Papa's has combined with fellow rub company Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form that West Coast offense. Come on, you know all about it. Check them out today. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce, so if you're looking for a great new go-to sauce, Granny's is the one you want to try. And aside from the premium selection of both of those things, rubs and sauces, they also offer the very best pellet charcoal and wood cookers available on the market today. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, and even offers special packages. If you're not a fan of pellet smokers, take a look at the Old Hickory Ace BP. Not only is it a great competition cooker, it's the only charcoal cooker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. Now, if you're a backyard cook like me and you're looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need. They're built like tanks. It's clear that Big Papa Smokers is the place to go for all things barbecue. Everything featured on their website has been hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Boost your skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers, the #1 online barbecue store. Have any questions? Give them a call, 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop the website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. Pat LaFrieda out of the break. Stick around. I'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by Smithfield. As I had said, re-up for 2019, so we're very excited about that. if you missed out on that October 31st deadline for the grant application, what are you thinking? Come on, you blew it. However, we still have the Committed Cooks program, smokinwithsmithfield.com. That's smokinwithsmithfield.com. All you have to do is head on over there. It's open to the first 500 folks. I believe it's a $25 shipping charge. You get well over $200 worth of gear from Smithfield, so certainly worth the small investment there to cover the shipping. Again, that's smokinwithsmithfield.com, smokinwithsmithfield.com. All right. Joining me now, my guests in the second, are widely considered to be America's butcher. Last time ran into a little snag on the telephone, so wanted to get him back on so we could take a bit more about meat topics. So we raced to the Traeger Grills hotline and welcome back the CEO of LaFrida Meat Purveyors, Pat LaFrida. Pat, how are you, buddy?
Yo, Greg.
We did it this time, Pat. Victory!
We're here. I was actually an hour early. I thought it was 9:15.
Well, better early than late, I guess, right?
100%.
All right.
Happy to be back with you, pal.
Success. I think our success rate better than the Jets, certainly better than the Browns here in Cleveland. So, I mean, you're a big Jets fan, right?
Yes. Being a New Yorker, we always had the option in baseball for the Mets or the Yankees. For football, the Giants or the Jets. Who's ever winning, we root for.
So are you, from a baseball standpoint, now, little known fact, Pat, I was born and raised upstate New York, Saratoga Springs to be exact. And when we were born, my dad's parents, huge Yankees fans. So we were first baptized Yankees fans, then baptized Catholic, of course, as it goes with all great Yankee families. Are you a Yankees fan or a Mets fan?
Grew up a Yankees fan and then became a Mets fan. So I'm a fan of both. I really am a fan of baseball. But what the Mets did at Citi Field is very impressive when it comes to food. So to be able to get, I think it's the first ballpark to get food the way it should be gotten. When you spend that much money and time and effort to get to a game, even especially with your family, the idea that you can get fresh sushi or a high-end steak in a steakhouse at the ballpark instead of a dirty water dog or a stale pretzel is something that the Mets or Citi Field really understood and got. So now I see, even in a bad season, you'll have millennials go there just for the food scene. It's really amazing.
Can you point your finger to where you thought that transition took place? Because I did see that similarly here at Progressive Field, where, and I grew up watching the Indians when we moved out of New York here in, like 7th grade or whatever, in the old Cleveland Stadium. That thing was a hole, and who knows what the hell was leaking on top of you sitting underneath the overhang. Yeah. But it was exactly what you said, the dirty water dog. Of course, here in Cleveland, it was Burtman's Ballpark Mustard, which is that gray mustard that a lot of people that aren't from here don't really realize or understand why we eat it. But I have seen through stadium renovations that, let's bring in the craft beer scene. Let's bring in a higher end food scene. Can you put a finger on when you saw that change take place?
I first saw it when Citi Field was built. So that's, 8 years now, I believe. I could be wrong on how long ago that was, but that's where I first saw it. So the Wilpon family that owned a majority stake in the Mets are also foodies. And I remember my first meetings with them about supplying the ballpark with meat. And they had a passion for food in a large format arena where normally there's no stress put on the food. It's usually overpriced, terrible food.
Yep.
And the idea so that's where I first saw it, and I see it starting to spread. I do. I think the NFL is another 10 years behind, but when it comes to Major League Baseball, it certainly has changed.
Pat LaFrida joining me here on the show. So, Pat, before we get into some of the meat talk, I want to, first off, thank you for the box of burgers, sausages, and steaks. Very gracious of you. Certainly appreciated by everybody here in the Rempe compound. And that kind of leads me into that first question that has to do with shipping. When you go to your website or when you go to some of those higher end meat purveyor websites, some of them are shipping you stuff that is, rock solid frozen, and they want you to thaw it out here for a couple days. When I got your shipment, and please correct me if I'm ignorant here, but am I close enough to where you ship me the meat because I'm in Cleveland, and from New Jersey, New York City, I'm not that far away, so it can come refrigerated, or whether I'm getting it in Cleveland or whether you're shipping all the way out to the West Coast, I'm going to get it the same way no matter what.
You're going to get it the same way no matter what. We only send and ship meat fresh overnight. So next day delivery in gel packs, and we cut the meat fresh when it's ordered. We don't ever send or sell anything that's frozen. So it's not a terrible thing to freeze meat. We need to preserve it somehow.
Sure.
The general public does, I should say. But it definitely loses its essence, and it loses a lot of flavor when you in that defrost mode. So when you buy meat and it comes to you shipped and it's rock solid frozen, like you said, that's usually at minus 10 degrees with dry ice on it. And that meat and that business model works for certain online meat sales, but it doesn't work for the Lafrida family. So we would never sell that product. And that product is purchased and processed, meaning it's portioned and vacuum packaged and put back into the freezer all throughout the year when the markets are the lowest, so that they have a stagnant price and they could really price fix in on an item. But for us, we would rather buy meat at market value from small farms around the country, cut it fresh, and ship it out fresh. And that's just I don't know of any other online service that does that, but it's something that we pride ourselves on.
And it was certainly great. I think, there's an excitement when you buy it and then it shows up frozen and you realize, oh, shit, I'm going to have to actually defrost this. So it might be a day or two, or if it's a brisket, it might be the better part of 3 or 4 days, depending on how big it is.
Right.
When I opened your box, I was like, oh, holy shit, these things are ready to go. I can cut the vacuum pack right off of it, season it. I can have it and I did have it for dinner later that evening. So from a victory standpoint,
and that's the whole point.
Yeah, I think that's a great model.
Yeah, and you're getting meat that butchers a few hours prior portioned and actually cut, made the chopped beef, formed it into burgers, vacuum packed it, put it into an insulated cooler with gel packs and sent it out fresh. It's just as if you went to the corner butcher and bought something fresh from the corner butcher. And that model is something that that's why I work at night. So I'm usually done at 6 a.m. in the morning. Our production happens all night long because we cut meat for restaurants every night as they order it. So our last orders will come in from restaurants at around 2 or 3 a.m. We're cutting meat and delivering it to those restaurants sometimes by 7 or 8 a.m. the next morning. So just a few hours later. And when we offered and began to offer our meat online, we just used the same model and made some good partners with UPS and FedEx to be able to overnight these products.
Pat LaFrida joining me here on the show. The website, lafrida.com. That's LAFRIEDA, lafrida.com, if you want to check it out here while we're talking. Pat, let's take a look at your sales and what the most popular cuts or cut of meat that you're currently selling, and does it differ between what the restaurants are ordering from you and what the consumers are ordering from you?
I would say it's very close. The consumers and the restaurants are really ordering the same cuts. So, and that's what's great about the American beef industry, is that it's the most efficient and greatest example of capitalism that I could ever imagine. Whereas in my father's generation or my grandfather's generation, if they wanted to sell 2 strip steaks, they needed to sell 2 ribeyes and 2 chucks and 2 inside rounds. The industry is not run that way anymore. I'm able to buy the parts that I need, and depending on the demand around the country and internationally for those different parts, that will determine the price structure of what each cut costs. And that's how the market changes. So, unfortunately for barbecuers and brisket, our chopped beef blend, which has a lot of brisket in it, has really increased the price, as you've seen over the last 10 years.
Sure.
Brisket was traditionally very inexpensive, and because of the amount that we use, I think we're the largest brisket user in the country. Just because of that, it's changed the whole landscape of the pricing structure of beef.
So are the most popular cuts the ribeyes or the rib steak type stuff?
Yes. To get back to your question, the most popular steaks that restaurants will buy, and they'll buy these cuts because their consumers are comfortable ordering these cuts. So you have to imagine chefs are putting out cuts of beef or any type of meat that their consumers are going to order, are basically the middle meats. So the ribeyes, the New York strips, if it's a bone-in ribeye and it's the really long bone, would be the tomahawk. If it's a shorter bone and it's French, it's a cowboy steak. For New York strips, I prefer it bone-in, and that's most commonly ordered bone-in or boneless for the New York strips. And then you have your economy cuts, which I see more and more restaurants ordering and consumers ordering. So I think the most common of those would be the butcher steak, which is a hanger steak, and flat irons. It's a great steak that tastes more like a New York strip than any other cut in the animal. And in a blind taste test, it's nearly impossible to tell the difference between the two. But in your wallet, it's about 1/4 of the price of a New York strip.
Would you say that those two that you'd mentioned are probably the best economical cuts that most consumers don't know about, or those are the ones that people know about and that's why they're ordering them? And if that's the case, what are...
those two are growing. Those two can continue to grow. And I think I see the awareness of what they are, whereas I used to get a lot of questions as to what is a hanger steak or what is a flat iron. Now I see there's more awareness of those two cuts, and I think consumers are more readily able to order that at a restaurant and feel comfortable about what they're getting. They know what they're getting. With a hanger steak, it's not as tender, but it's got a lot of flavor. With a flat iron, it doesn't look like a New York strip, but it tastes like one, and it's less money. And so an economy cut, which is my favorite cut of beef, is an outside skirt steak. That's the old Romanian steak that diners used to call it. But it's so delicious and doesn't taste like any other cut in the animal. And it's got to be the outside skirt. So if you're a butcher and you ask for skirt, that's being a little vague, and you might get some of the inside skirt, which is a completely different muscle. And the hard part is that they look similar. So when you ask your butcher for skirt, ask for outside skirt, and it's got an irony flavor. It's just a real great, unique flavor to it. That was an economy cut, but that got so popular that diners don't serve it anymore as Romanian steak. You know, I as a kid, I remember seeing it on diner menus. You don't see it on diner menus anymore, and if you do, they're not giving you outside skirt steak anymore. It's just too expensive.
So, since you are in and around beef all day, every day, what's like the best economical cut that maybe we don't know about that you think could be on the come?
I think that where the ribeye ends, so now we're going towards the front of the animal.
Mm-hmm.
In the actual chuck, there are two steaks that you can take. So there are two of the very end ribeye steaks. So they're normally called chuck eye steaks.
Yeah.
So just because the ribeye is cut there by the industry doesn't mean that those muscle groups, especially the spinalis muscle, which is the ribeye cap, it's more abundant in the chuck than it is on the ribeye. So those two steaks are phenomenal, and at the price of what a chuck costs, it's also about 1/4 the price of what a ribeye is. But it also depends on the time of year and the type of cooking process. So right now we're going into the colder months. So what I love are chuck flap tails, which is essentially an extension of the short rib muscle. So if I'm going to braise something, or if I'm going to put something in my Sunday sauce, or just in a crock pot, and I'm going to slow cook it, it's going to be chuck flap tail. And again, it's short rib and slow cooked. It is fall off the fork tender. I mean, it's amazing. So a lot has to do with the cooking method as well. Where with a flat iron, that's something you need to grill. So if you live in a part of the country where you have to shut your grill down for the winter because it's just too cold outside, you're not going to be grilling. You have to start to look at the braising meats. And there's a big misconception when you buy beef stew, let's say, the beef stew's got to come from parts of the animal that have a lot of sinew, that have a lot of intramuscular fat, so that collagen breaks down. So those are the tougher cuts, but you want them to break down. If you were to use an inside ground, which is what one would use to make roast beef, and you cut it into beautiful beef cubes, and you cooked it over a long period of time, you're now drying out and making the most awful beef stew you could ever imagine.
Really?
And I think we've all had that experience before where some sort of beef stew dish, like a beef bourguignon, is not juicy. It's a little dry and tough. And that's because it's coming from a part that should have been roasted rare instead of slow cooked for a few hours.
Pat LaFrieda joining me here on the show. Pat, let me ask you one quick question before we jump to a quick break and then talk about dry aging for the next segment. The tomahawk steak, by the way, you sent me two, and the first one that I had was absolutely delicious. But to be a complete shithead, let me talk to you about this tomahawk steak. So it's a ribeye, right? I mean, it looks like a ribeye. It feels like a ribeye. The bone's in there, all along that one side, just like it should be. Except here's this whole bone that sticks out. I can't eat that bone. Weighs something. It screams, presentation-wise, this is cool. But then the frugal gourmet in me screams, what the hell is that for? I don't need that. That's absolutely ridiculous. And so then the word gimmick comes up to me. So where do you fall out on why tomahawks are so popular right now? And, I mean, in essence, are you paying a little bit more for stuff that you aren't eating?
You're not paying more, I would say, for a tomahawk. But you said it. You said the word presentation.
Sure.
And in a world where we're taking photos of every dish that comes out in every restaurant, when you sit in a restaurant that serves tomahawk steaks and a plated cooked tomahawk goes by, you can just watch everyone's eyes follow that plate. So that presentation, something that I would say, if you asked me that question 10 years ago, I would say, yeah, that's gimmicky. But now that plate presentation is unique and necessary. So there's no waste of meat, but there is a better way to eat a tomahawk. Whereas, like as in the ones I sent you, the bone is clean.
Yes.
If we would have left the spare rib meat on, now when you're done eating the ribeye portion, you can grab that bone and gnaw on that bone for a bit, and it's delicious. Who doesn't like beef back ribs? So that's what we cut out of that. So if there was, those don't go to waste, by the way. We call those beef fingers, and we sell those to. You could braise those. Those are delicious. Again, it's beef spare rib meat, so nothing goes to waste. But for that plate presentation and for that restaurant that, they want people to Instagram their dishes as they come out, it's a little easier to do with a tomahawk than it is to do with a boneless ribeye.
No doubt about it. Pat LaFrida joining me here on the show. Pat, can I hold you over for one more segment? We'll talk about dry aging.
Absolutely, Greg.
All right, stand by. We're talking with Pat LaFrida from LaFrida Meats. LaFrida.com, his website. Follow Pat on Instagram, by the way. He's absolutely prolific on there at Pat LaFrida. And I will talk to you quickly about Cook Shack, manufacturers of smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience, whether you barbecue in the backyard, on the competition circuit, or in a 5-star dining facility. Cook Shack has the unit that will do the job. And with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoke and grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. You can check out their website at cookshack.com, or you can follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. You can also get advice and share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. Still have one of those. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by a champion, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. The FEC 100, PG 1000, always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can actually double as a smoker and a grill. Low and slow, hot and fast. The pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Now, maybe you're not into the pellet scene. I get it. Cook Shack residential electric smokers happen to be the #1 smoker in the industry in that segment. High quality means high durability and versatility. Anything you can cook in your oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698 or visit the website cookshack.com. That's cookshack.com. All right, we are back with more Meat Talk with Pat LaFrida. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're lucky because Fireboard fully integrated with both and constantly learning new skills. Find out more with fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. All right, Pat LaFrida joins me here on the show, and we're going to get into a little bit of dry aging talk here. Pat, at the beginning of the year, actually, I think it was the end of 2017, I like to do a little prognostication of what might be popular in the upcoming year. And dry aging was kind of teetering on, are we going to make that jump and talk about it, or are we not? We kind of hedged bets a little bit, but lo and behold, 2018 rolled in right around that March timeframe. Dry aging was firmly in place. I was seeing it more and more. I mean, you were probably seeing it a lot sooner than I was, but from a consumer standpoint, I was seeing it a lot more on restaurant menus across the board, whether it was kind of a mid-level all the way up to those prime steakhouses. Is the increase in popularity that I'm seeing, Pat, from a purely taste standpoint? Are people or the consumers just that much more educated and appreciative of that kind of a flavor profile at this point?
I think it took a while for consumers to understand and be able to detect the flavors that the dry aging process offers the beef. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It becomes an addiction, and some consumers can't get enough dry age, where they want me to dry age products over 120 days, which to me, that's the point of diminishing returns. I think anywhere from 30 to 120 days is amazing But at 120 days, I actually took a ribeye, trimmed all the exterior, and with April Bloomfield, actually, when at a dinner event that she was supposed to grill the ribeye steaks, someone had asked me to cut a piece of carpaccio, so thinly sliced raw beef from that 120-day aged ribeye. And before I knew it, there was a line of people waiting for me to cut them a slice. And I got into a lot of trouble that night because there was nothing left to grill. It was delicious. So in its purest form, the flavor is amazing. But is it an acquired taste? Yes. So I did see the growth in the demand for dry aging. We're actually building a second facility to run in concert with this facility, and our dry aging room will be 4 times the size. So we're talking about $6 million worth of beef in the dry aging room at any given time, just getting age on it and getting that flavor that comes from taking the moisture out, and really the controlled decomposition of the collagen by oxygen and by controlling the humidity and having that circulation of wind go by the protein and whisk off the moisture that comes to the surface.
I think on your website you do a really good job when you get into that dry aged portion of if a consumer is going to be trying that out to say, hey, here's a very high level idea of what dry aging is all about and some really good things that happen with it. Oh, by the way, if you're not used to it, there's what I call the funk factor of dry aging. So if I'm mistaken, please.
My dad won't eat it.
At
my
all?
dad doesn't like it. He'll eat it, but he prefer a fresh steak over dry aged. Where I'm the opposite. I prefer a dry aged steak over fresh.
So 30 days is going to get you like a tenderness, but not really a huge taste bump. But it's like the after 30 days is where the flavor or the taste nuance is going to start to develop.
Yes, in the right environment. In the right environment, at 30 days, you will start to get some of that almost cooked buttery popcorn flavor from the dry aging process. That will start to develop at 27 and 28 days aged. So at 30 days, yes, you will start to get that. And I think that the gamut normally goes from 28 days in popularity to 60 days for restaurants. The fun factor is definitely evident at 60 days and beyond, where if you're not really accustomed to that funk, you're going to have a negative feeling about the steak.
So from a, I guess this is like caveat emptor, but when you go online and you start seeing more and more, you get dry aged beef here, get dry aged beef there. And you go in and you buy a 70-day or a 90-day, I mean, who knows? How can you tell once it shows up in your house that you're getting what you paid for? I mean, is there a stamp that is required that says, hey, this is 30 days or 90 days, or do you just have to put trust in the vendor that they're doing their part if you're doing your part?
You have to put trust in your butcher. It's not regulated. So that's something that the USDA does not regulate on the claims. You bringing that subject up is the first time I've actually even thought of that aspect of, because everything that we package and all the claims that are made are scrutinized by the USDA, and that protects our industry. It's really a very positive thing. Dry aging and its dating, how we work it is, when we put the meat into the dry aged room every day and fill the slots of what was used the night before, we attach a stamp to that meat, and that would have the gross weight, so the weight at which it went into the room, and the date that it went in. So there's no positive part about lying about that date, because the consumer is going to taste. If it was supposed to be 70 days and it doesn't taste like it's dry aged, then yeah, you're going to lose. You're not going to be in business for long. So it's something that the butcher tracks, and I'm not always just concerned about the date. I'm concerned within about 10 or 15 days from what is being requested. There's another factor, and some meat just happens to age faster than others. So I can see what doesn't recede is the fat and the bone. So when you see that the protein itself has now shrunken a little bit, and that first cut on the bandsaw, the trim, will give you a donut, meaning there's no protein there. It's just a circle with fat on one side of the circle and bone on the other. Then you know that the dry aging process is successful and potentially has met the demand of what's being requested, if that makes sense. So, I think where I see inconsistencies with aged meat is when the word dry isn't in front of aged. When you just see aged beef, that only means that it's potentially old. Wet aged beef is maybe that sat in a warehouse too long. The whole aging process, as I mentioned earlier, a lot has to do with the oxygen breaking down the collagen. When you're in a vacuum state and you're wet aging, quote unquote, that oxygen is not present. So what you want to happen in the breaking down of the collagen and in the protein, it's not really happening in wet aged. So when I see something that says aged, I know that it's probably not dry aged. So aged 70 days or dry aged 70 days have two very different meanings. And beef can last from the time it's first harvested and broken down into its primals and vacuumed. It can last for 90 days in the fresh state. But that doesn't mean it's any more tender or have any more flavor than the first day it was put into that vacuum.
Pat, do you see or do you know what percentage of your steak sales is specifically related to dry age versus just a fresh steak?
75% of all of our steaks from the middle meat cuts, so that's the ribeyes and the strips, porterhouses, tomahawks, all of those middle meats, 75% of those are dry aged.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And it's the reason that we have to build a new facility. One of the main reasons is because of the dry age room. We're out of space. And we, like I said, our new facility will have a dry age room 4 times the size of what we currently have. And we're not closing facility A to move into facility B. We're going to run them in concert. So we have a backup facility, and we'll use facility A as more of a cross dock. But, lightning hits or something happens to one facility, we're still able to have a second facility to produce product from and supply our restaurants.
Yeah, wow, 75% was certainly not a percentage that seems incredible to me, which is, I guess, where things are trending right now.
Yeah, and I would have told you, 10 years ago would have been about 10%.
Yep.
But that's where the beef lovers have gone. Dry aged beef. If you don't have dry aged beef to offer as a meat purveyor, you're kind of out of business in at least New York City when it comes to restaurants, because again, kind of like the investment of getting to a baseball game, getting into New York City to find parking, to pay tolls, the whole expense of it, to go to a restaurant and order a steak for it not to be one of the best steaks you've ever eaten is certainly not going to want to make you go back just for a meal, right? So restaurant chefs in New York City especially are always trying to have and provide that experience that you can't get anywhere else. And for beef, that answer has been in dry aging.
Pat, let's quickly talk about what is popular in restaurants inevitably trickles down into the individual or the consumer. We've seen it happen with barbecue. We've seen it happen with beer. A lot of people doing it at home. Inevitably, there is now a movement of people trying to dry age beef at home. Initially, we saw it in like those dry aging bags, which I think have kind of been debunked as a little bit of a gimmick. But now we're seeing, Kingsford has the steak ager in varying forms and fashions. I've had Jess Pryles on the show, who runs Hardcore Carnivore and did a 3,000 word research paper on dry aging earlier this year, and said, hey, if you're going to do it, get its own unit. Don't put it in a college dorm thing, or heaven forbid, don't put it in your own refrigerator at home. But these are the steps that you would want to take if you want to do it at home. What are your thoughts? I mean, obviously you're a guy in business doing the dry aging thing because it's your livelihood, but if there's any way to separate that, what are your thoughts on doing it at home?
Well, to do it at home, you can't dry age individual steaks. So let's just put that out there. You need to use primals, right? So you need to have large pieces. So it's a fairly large investment, but it's all about the environment that the steak is held in. So yes, the steak ager. I tried the prototype, and it didn't work because it was just like you were putting it in your fridge. It wasn't. The air wasn't sealed, so you really couldn't control the humidity. So, a refrigerator for a keg. I remember those from college. Putting a keg into its own fridge, and then you had the tap outside. You could do that for steak, but you also need some kind of dehumidifier. Now, refrigeration on its own is a dehumidifier. That's why there's always a drip tray or some kind of irrigation when those coils have to cool down, for the moisture to come off those coils. Where does the moisture come from? It's coming from the air inside the fridge. So, but it's not enough. So if you need to add some way to make that air less humid. And when you look in, let's say, a Home Depot or a Lowe's at dehumidifiers, you have to read those instructions. Those are meant for about 45 degrees or higher, because anything colder than that, it will not condense the moisture in the air. So you need to use a desiccant system, which will work and take the air out of the refrigerator and recirculate it back in without the moisture. So it's a little complicated. It's not that it can't be done. It's like all my friends that make prosciuttos in their basement. I mean, it's possible, but I would say 50% of them spoil. So if it's something that you're in love with doing, and you're a foodie, yes, you can do it in a refrigerator at home, but it has to be a dedicated space in the fridge. It's got to be sealed off from everything else. If not, a refrigerator just for that. But in addition to the refrigerator being a natural dehumidifier, you also need to remove more moisture. And what you're looking for is 70 to 80% humidity. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. At 70 to 80%, you will get the moisture out of the meat, and the meat will not rot as long as you have wind circulation and that temperature stays between 35 and 38 degrees, in that range. If you can meet those standards, then yes, you could dry age at home, but just think how difficult that is. It's difficult.
And think how easy it is
every
to go
time you
to
open the fridge to check on it, you're adding 99% humidity.
And it's a lot easier to go to lafrida.com and buy a dry aged steak, right?
Or your local butcher that's dry aging. Yes, it is easier. You don't need to buy an entire primal that weighs 20 some odd pounds, because it's also very difficult to dry age at home because we have bandsaws. So the bandsaws are able to cut through the bone down. Just remember that all the exterior of a dry aged steak has to be trimmed off and thrown away and discarded. So without a bandsaw, with just a knife, it is possible, but you'd have to cut the bone off, and you'd waste a lot more meat. So with the bandsaw, we're able to cut through the bone and just get off what we call facing. So it's just a very dark black surface of the dry aged beef that we trim off and discard, because potentially, if there's a pathogen, it's going to be on that outside. But done in the right circumstances, in the right environment that I keep going back to, pathogens actually die in that environment of that humidity and that temperature with that wind circulation. We have seen the pathogen growth decrease over time. So it can be completely safe. You just have to follow those steps and adhere to those, call them the dry aging laws. If you don't, then you're going to eat spoiled meat. And meat should taste like it smells. So when you take a dry aged steak and you really hold it up and inhale, that delicious, when done right, that delicious dry aged flavor is something that you can smell. Often people ask me, how do I know if my meat's good or not? Is it still good? I've had it in my fridge for 2 weeks. If it's not Kelly Green, the best way to tell is to smell it, because the scent that it emits will tell you if it's rotten or not. And we've all been there also, and have seen or smelled rotten meat. There's no coming back from that. There are horror stories about people washing it down with lemons. If it's rotten, it's rotten. If you don't dry age correctly, it's rotten. And that's the only risk, is sickness to yourself if you're not doing it correctly.
Pat, where is or who cooked the best steak you've ever had?
Oh boy, is that a tough one. It all depends on the steak. I think Riyad Nasser at Minetta Tavern has cooked some of the best steaks I've ever had. He's no longer there now. He opened up his own restaurant, Frenchette. Josh Capon at Bowery Meat Company and his chef Lucas, they've made some of the best steaks I've ever had in the spinalis, the ribeye cap. Porterhouse, New York. I mean, the char there is just phenomenal. I can't say that I honestly can't say I have a single favorite. I've just had so many great steaks in my life. Raoul's, their steak au poivre downtown is absolutely to die for. I've been eating there since I'm 16 years old. Le Ravage on West 46, Paul Denamiel, he makes an amazing steak au poivre as well. I mean, there's just so many great chefs in New York City and so many great places to eat meat. Maria, which is a seafood restaurant, Michael White's amazing seafood restaurant on Central Park South. One of my best steaks I've ever eaten in my life was a bone-in New York strip there. So it really has to do for me with the steak that I'm eating, the preparation of it, and obviously it's flavor and tenderness, right? So I because I love meat so much, my steaks need to be seared, and I need to have some type of temperature control on the inside from medium rare to rare, somewhere in that range, because a well-cooked steak or a well-done steak loses a lot of its essence. And the general public needs to know one thing. If they order meat well done, the chef is using the worst cut of meat they have for that person because they think they don't know what they're eating anyway. So that's where you get the end steaks and steaks that should be economy cuts, but you're going to pay a premium for them if you order them well done at a restaurant.
Pat,
so,
you want to?
Yes.
I was just going to say, you want to play a lightning round real quick?
Go ahead.
There we go, lightning round with Pat LaFrida. I'm going to give you a choice or a yes or no kind of a thing, and just right off the top of the head, you give me an answer. Here we go. Bobby Flay or Alton Brown?
Bobby.
Lump or briquette?
Briquette.
Reverse sear or normal sear?
Reverse.
Yes or no, searing seals in the juices?
No.
Let it rest or let's eat?
Let it rest.
Pellet or offset?
Pellet.
Spatchcock or beer can chicken?
Beer can.
Sweet or savory?
Both.
Open pit or Sweet Baby Ray's?
Open pit.
Really? Come on, Pat. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Sazerac or Old Fashioned?
Old Fashioned.
Booker's or Blanton's?
Not sure what you're referring to. Pass on that.
25-year-old Pappy, life-changing or bank-changing?
Oh, I wouldn't say. I would say neither.
Neither, really?
Yeah.
Yikes! That's like a hugely expensive bottle, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to break the bank, but it's not going to change my life either.
All right. Hey, you can find Pat LaFrida online at lafridameats.com, and he has been an incredible guest here, especially this evening, giving us all the time talking about steaks and his business and dry aging especially. Pat, really appreciate the time tonight. Thanks so much for doing it.
Thanks for having me, pal. Really appreciate being on the show.
You got it. There he is, Pat LaFrida. Pat said beer can chicken. Pat, no! Open pit.
This is Chris Payne from Euclid, Ohio.
All right, Chris Payne, you get your ID in.
Central.
Now we will go ahead and do a quick read here, wrap up the show. We always believe that outdoor cooking should be easy and fun because it can be, especially with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. This means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature. Let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill and can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. Here's how you do it. You go to the website, bbqguru.com, and check out what they have to offer. You can also call them with any questions, 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, all caught up on the reads there, so we will work to get out. If I am doing the lightning round myself on a couple of those, if I was still drinking, and while I am a diehard old-fashioned fan, I found myself falling in love hard with Sazerac, Sweet Baby Ray's over Open Pit. I mean, Pat, what are you talking about? Open Pit? I think Open Pit will stain your teeth orange. That must be a New York thing. Definitely never beer can chicken, only spatchcock for me. And 25-year-old Pappy Van Winkle, while I've never had it, could never change my life, could only change my bank. I think they had 25-year-old Pappy at Society Lounge just across the street from Mabel's Barbecue in downtown Cleveland on East 4th Street, and it was selling for $350 an ounce. An ounce?
Get that big stuff out of here.
No way, sir. That's a lot of cake. All right, all the way back in the first hour, a Hall of Famer from the barbecue scene, Dr. Barbecue, from Dr. Barbecue's restaurant. Heading into the third week, things are going very well for him, so happy to hear that. Then we had a in-depth conversation with Mike McLeod about the World Food Championships. We did not. But to make up for it, we had two segments with America's Butcher and Meat Master Pat LaFrida, who killed it. We talked about his most popular cuts from a business standpoint, to what he thinks might be the best up-and-coming economical cut. We talked about, is tomahawk steak a gimmick or not? Then we really got into dry aging. And he suffered through the lightning round with me, which is something that I might start instituting with all my guests. We'll see about that. Big show planned for you next week, as always, September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.